Hey, what's up, everybody? I went ahead and opened it up a little bit early, but we're going to give people time to get on here. Hopefully, the lighting is a little bit better. We did work out the bugs that we had with the last time. It was incredible. Want to get my phone set up for live on TikTok. We might do that one. I don't know. Just when you try to do all of this stuff, sometimes that could make a problem. But and I'm afraid that someone might try to call me. Do you got to have your phone on? I'm not sure. But hold on a second. Just give everybody time to get in. Go ahead and get it ready on your computer. You know how to go there? Okay. No, you just go to the credit repair shop on YouTube and then go to live. One of the I have my library over here to the side, and I'm gonna be getting all of my certificates. My wife is gonna design the wall. I have a big wall here and a big wall over here, and she's gonna put it all together where uh, it's gonna get uh, where it's gonna have the certificates on there, uh, pictures of me from the military. There's two of them that I always like to display, and some other stuff. I'm gonna have some positive uh, sayings on there. Some stuff for positive, motivational type things. I want to have that. Uh, this I just just want to be able to whenever you see me, whenever you come into contact with me, I want people to feel that someone is really working hard and trying to find every option that's available because I know exactly how it feels. Number one, to be in a situation where where you're overwhelmed with debt. I know how it feels to have a car repossessed. I know how it feels to not be able to pay uh, your bills, but I don't call them bills. I call them household investments because when you have your electric paid, you have uh, the luxury of having electric to be able to warm your house, to be able to cook stuff, to be able to watch TV or internet or whatever. So that's one of I don't call them household bills. I call them household investments. It's an investment in the comfort of your life. And uh, I haven't started yet. So if people are coming on, I haven't started yet. We're going to start at 12. Got 4 more minutes. We just want to have it open so more people can get on and maybe get an alert uh, to get on. And I'm gonna also make sure we get out to the email list to make sure that they are notified. But I think we're going to have we got some good topics. We're going to talk about the 10 million new businesses that were registered in the United States, LVNV funding, the lawsuit that went down with them, Discover and Capital One lawsuit dismissals that went down with them, and some stuff that I continue to keep seeing with lending club, like what's going on with these lending club organizations. Uh, we just keep seeing those over and over. Uh, Still have 3 minutes before we start. Any questions that you might have, put them on there. My reps are also going to be available. They're going to be available to, if you want to talk with one of them about our services, they're going to be available. Let's see here. I want to make sure I notify the list here that they can come see us on here. Just 1 second. thing too is, I don't, regardless if you agree with the president or not, uh, there was some good things that came that have been done. There's with the jobs. I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna speak on it in this video in this live, but I'm gonna talk about our relationship with money. They don't, people don't never talk about that. Well, some people do, but in those arenas, they don't really talk about the relationship with money. And I believe that that's one of the uh, misconceptions that a lot of us have when we're not educated about money. Still got 2 minutes, 2 minutes until we go into what our subjects, 2 minutes. I want to make sure that my complete list, got 1 minute, 1 minute. Remember, you'll be able to post your questions in there. Any questions that you have, post them on there. Hello, Gwen. How you doing? Thank you for coming. We're going to be getting started. We got 1 minute till we get started. 1 minute. Let's see here. All right, we're about to get started. Thank everyone who is here right now. And again, my reps are standing by if anyone wants to get some help. We're going to be here for about 1 hour unless we have an overwhelming amount of questions from people. It was something that I wanted to show, and I see the questions here. We're going to get to the questions. I just want to have a quick run through with with the topics because those topics will get to the issues that you might be having with debt collectors. So, real quick, I want to congratulate ourselves yesterday. I don't know if you saw today's video yet, but I kind of broke down a success that we had where a client was facing a $33,685.13 collection from actually from LVNV funding for a personal loan that he had received. And it was in this lending club. So I guess I'll speak on this with these lending clubs. I don't know how they're putting these loans together, if all of them are just putting money into a pool or are they bidding on them. I don't know. But I do know that when they charge off those loans, that they include everyone in the list of the charge off. And when we received that court summons from this individual, and I've seen it before too, but when I saw his, I just feel that that's a huge issue because number one, uh, I don't even know how they're putting these loans together. But number two, it specifically stated in his summons complaint that every one of the companies did a charge off. So if every one of the companies did a charge off, is it potentially possible that any of the companies, and this was the list, this was the list. Look at all of these companies. He got one loan, but all of those companies listed there and all of those listed there. This is the response that we made for him. Every one of them had a charge off listed, not on his credit report, but it was a charge off document that stated each one of those lending companies did a charge off. So we submitted, which I stated in the video, is that we wanted to know if any one of those companies filed a 1099-C to cancel that debt. how did they, if they did a charge off, how did they handle whatever portion or whatever, however they were included in the debt? What did they actually do? And I think that this played a huge part on them deciding to not go forward. This was a case where before the court date came up, they decided dismiss this case. So now I don't want it to. I know I might have stated it a lot in the other video, but I don't want it to be understated. This man was facing $33,000 in debt. Some people don't even make that amount of money per year, and they would have been able to garnish that money out of his wages. The state that he lives in, they would have been able to garnish his wages directly or go into his bank account every time a certain amount of money was placed in there. Also, he could not file bankruptcy because there's a means test that you have to pass to be able to file bankruptcy. And if you have any type of assets, they're not going to let you file bankruptcy. And if you end up lying and filing bankruptcy, the court commissioner or the lawyer that's representing you can actually get in trouble and lose their license because they have to do a check to make sure that you're not lying. That's why you see a flood of Chapter 13 bankruptcies just exploding all over the place because of that, because most people are not able to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy if you have any assets. Uh, Now, let's talk about LVNV funding overall. They got in trouble for not producing all of the documents when they were requested by consumers who were being sued in court. Now, the reason why they got lazy with that is because almost 99.5% of their cases are default judgments. So they don't even care. And so whoever had prepared a batch or whatever they were doing, they ended up getting sued by the CFPB, and they had a where they had to dismiss all of the cases. This one here was not included because there was only cases that were involved with one of the debt portfolios that they had purchased. But regardless of what the debt collector is suing you, you always have a right to do a, a debt validation. But people sometimes get it confused where they'll think that they're going to send a debt validation to the plaintiff attorney when you have to submit your debt validation within your court summons response. That's why some people send it and they'll say, I tried to validate it, and then all of a sudden they're still coming after me in court. It's because you didn't do it properly. You have to actually put that in your affirmative defense. Now, another alert that I want to, or news story I want to make you aware of is Discover Card and Capital One cards. They got in trouble because the debt collection firm that they hired was not providing the documentation properly to sue the individuals that they were trying to sue. And this is very interesting because this was actually the original creditors, not a third party debt collector. So even with original creditors, you you still had a right to do a debt validation, but it's mainly going to be slanted towards if you had any issues with the account. But when you receive the court summons, uh, the complaint, even if it's the original creditor, you should review it and look at all of the documents that they supplied, and then you can potentially break down their case against you by the documents that they provided. Don't try to get fancy and come up with all of this other court decisions that are out there because they'll find one that'll flip that around real quick. What you need to do is just break down the documents that they have, and if they don't want to supply them, they can end up getting dismissed. With what happened with these lawsuits, because they didn't supply them right at that time, the CFPB said that they cannot move forward with any of those lawsuits. So if you have one from Discover Card or Capital One, you need to make sure that you double check and see if that is potentially dismissed or if it was included in the batch that's going to be automatically dismissed due to the CFPB lawsuit. You can go to their website and just type it in and you'll be able to find that. All right, now quickly before we get to the questions that people have. Last night, President Biden talked about 10 million new business registrations, 10 million new business owners opening up businesses in the United States. So that means that some of you that are watching this video open up a new business. And I'm not going to go into too much in it in this video, but if you are opening up a new business, you need to make sure that you do your due diligence on getting ways to finance your business. And the first thing that you need to do, don't listen to people who tell you that you're just going to be able to get business funding based off of your business. That is not going to happen. Uh, People say it can happen. They never tell people the full story. And if you know on my channel, I tell people the full story. I had to go through it with my businesses. You're going to have to go through it with your businesses. You need to get your credit in order first, because that's going to be judgment. Number one is going to be where they look at you on a personal level. And even if it's not where you're going to a bank for financing, maybe you're going to a private individual and you have an excellent opportunity. Uh, some, not all, but some investors will still want to look at how you're handling your money, because they're going to be thinking, if you can't handle your money, how are you going to handle my money? So get your credit in order. I know I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody here is working on that. So I congratulate you on that. So now we're going to get into the questions and answers right here. And first, I'm going to go with what we got here, and then I'm going to go with some that were emailed over to me. Someone has stated that they have a collector, they can't verify the debt, and they keep sending letters. If I'm understanding you right, you are requesting that they verify the debt, and then they could just keep sending you letters back. Well, I'm gonna take it two ways because I haven't seen the letter, so I'm gonna give you two options. Number one, you probably haven't made the right request based on the information that they've sent you. If they're sending you the first letter, well, obviously it's not the first letter, but on the first letter, when they send you that dunning letter, you have 30 days to challenge any or a part of the debt that they're claiming on there. I always say you challenge all of it if it's from a third party debt collector. You have to read it though to make sure that you're going to respond to them the way from the information that they're providing to you. You can't just say that that the debt is not yours. You have to actually put in your response to them questions about the debt, making them prove the debt, the contract, everything, put all of that information in there. So now it's not about a back and forth of it's not mine and this type of stuff. It's more of about you doing a verification and a validation. Verification is with them. Validation is what they're claiming the amount is on the debt. If you ask the right questions, and below my video, I have a free letter that I make available to everybody. That letter has those questions on there. There's 7 questions that they have to answer. And one very important question on there is if an attorney has reviewed the case. That was actually what had happened with Discover and Capital One, is that they were sending out letters, making court summons complaints for individuals where an attorney didn't even actually review it, and they have to review it. So first, to answer your question, you need to make sure that you're reading it and that you do a verification validation. If it's on the second round, read it and see what they're trying to say. They're not trying to answer. Like if you read it, you'll see how they're trying to get away with what they're doing, and then you respond to it appropriately. The next one is I have a restrictive endorsement check to Midland Credit Management. I wrote the terms on the back and endorsed it. I have a copy with my bank. Not sure. Is this so? You did a settlement. Is this what you're saying? You did a settlement, and however, I made the payment out to original. Okay, and I just still haven't responded. Yeah, because they purchased the debt. If you're dealing with Midland, they do not do work for original creditors. They're going to buy the debt, so they're probably sitting there wondering what they're going to do if they because they haven't responded. They might be trying to figure out how they can get the original creditor to cash that check for them. Next one is Portfolio Recovery Service is suing me, and I'm writing my answers. They only included a bill of sales statement. What do I need to do to include? In short, well, you need to watch my video. Type in and watch today's video. Watch all of the videos that I have so you can see what you need to challenge. In short, what you got to challenge is original contract, your privacy, how are they allowed to view your private information even though they purchased it? You need to challenge the entire account number. I'm pretty sure on your on uh, the affidavit that they gave you, it didn't have your complete account number. It didn't have your name. You need to challenge the whole amount. One statement doesn't show exactly how you have the whole amount, so you need to challenge the payments, the balances, the interest rate charged, any rewards that you got, everything. You need to just sit down on a piece of paper and write down everything that you always went through on a monthly basis with the card that you always paid attention to. And then you flip that around on them and you tell them to give you all of that information for you to review. Be careful. Don't say it's not me. Don't say this amount, I didn't charge that amount. No, you want a review of the account. If the original creditor was suing you, you would be able to say, give me all of my records so I can review them so we can come to a resolution. That's what you do with the debt collector, but they're not going to be able to get that information because when they buy the debt from the original creditor, the original creditor don't want to have nothing to do with them. If you read the affidavit statement that they show on that bill of sale from the original creditor, it says that the debt collector assumes all responsibility. So if anything is wrong, if anybody wants to sue anything, the the debt collector who purchased the debt is going to be 100% responsible. And the crazy thing about it, on that bill of sale, it doesn't even have your information on there. If they're coming to sue you, show me where you purchased my specific debt. They're just going to have a number and they won't even have the full account number. Let's see here. Is I do have sufficient information to admit or deny. Is that enough? My response is I don't have sufficient information to admit yeah, that's good enough. Not enough information to admit or deny on their allegation. But then you're going to have your affirmative defense is where you're going to build your response to break down their case. So if it's something that this is not legal advice, I'm just telling you as if this was happening to me, you just say not enough information to admit or deny. And if it's from a third party debt collector, it is truly not enough information to admit or deny because you want to be able to see all of the documentation before you make any type of settlement or if you agree with anything that they're stating. The next one here is what the 30-day letter. It's was okay. They was okay. So from earlier, the verified they sent the 30-day letter. So with their response, or if they don't respond, send it certified. But make sure that you get my free letter so you can put all of the questions in there. Filed a CFPB complaint, Experian, because no notice of dispute on the dispute account, and the original creditor and Experian responded to the CFPB complaint was that they investigated and said it was mine. Yeah, a lot of people are starting to find out that CFPB is not able to do what people were claiming that they could do. The reason why a lot of stuff was being taken off when people made a complaint to the CFPB is because the companies, the bureaus, they were all just like, we don't want to deal with this and we're going to just remove it. But now what happened, and anything that you do that does not take hard work, not to say that you filling out the forms is not hard, but anything that you do that seems to be a gimmick or quick fix on something, eventually the companies are going to come together and they're going to say, we're not going to go with that anymore. And you see now that it seems like the scales of the power flipped and that the CFPB is bowing down to the credit reporting agencies and the original creditors. And if you saw the story that I put, or that it was in, I think the USA Today, or I forget which paper, but I made a video on it. Some people criticized me about it. Is that the CFPB? It may not be here in 6 months. The Republicans, for years, not just now, for years have said that they are putting their foot on the scale too much on business, and that they think that they're overstepping, they're overreaching, and if they had it their way, they would just close it down because they believe that that's just, they're doing work that other agencies have always done. So don't be surprised if that organization is disbanded in 6 months or a year, that it is headed in that direction. You already noticed, though, from what you're seeing with the responses, the weight is now more on the companies when they make a response, even though you have proof that it was not placed on your credit reports like you stated, nothing is being done about it. And also, when we talk about credit repair and we tell people, hey, you got to keep working at this, because, and this is proof, this is validation. I'm very glad that you asked this, that you put this statement on here, because this shows that you can actually submit documents to the CFPB. You can submit them to the original creditor. You can submit them to the credit reporting agencies, and guess what? They won't even put on your credit reports that you disputed it. So what does that mean? I always talk about don't quit. It's like these are little things that they put in front of people to make them want to quit. And it's going to be dependent on your tolerance. Maybe you'll send 2 letters. Maybe you'll do 3 letters. Maybe you'll do 6 letters. How long will it take for you to quit if they don't respond the way that you want them to respond? But I'll flip that back around. If it took you 1 full year to get your credit in order, to get everybody to respond the way that you needed them to respond to get this job done, and it was 1 year later, would you look back and say, man, I'd rather just get that year back than have this good credit right now? Time is going to pass anyways. It's what you're going to do with that time. And what I see a lot of people do is that they quit so fast. Like, that's what's wrong with us right now. When something gets hard, when something doesn't go the way that it went for somebody else, then people want to just start to quit. They're just like, I can't do it. It was supposed to happen faster. My cousin did it and it worked for them. Why is it not working for me? And then they try to blame it on somebody else. No, it takes work. And your situation is individual, and you need to be prepared to go up that mountain so you'll make your own story of success. Your story is different than somebody else's. Let's go on to the next question. So nothing has changed on the report, and they still haven't posted the note. So this is him responding. You keep working. Keep working. I'm glad you came here, because the message for you today is to keep working. Because when it does happen, are you going to remember what didn't happen before? No, you're going to move on because you're going to be happy with what happened. The following, they crashed it and reflected on my experience report. And TransUnion recently paid money and reduction. Oh, this was a follow up from somebody. Okay. Uh, how does one afford your services when they're trying to get out of debt? Time is past. You want to know? That's a very good question. That's a very good question. I'll take you back to when I wanted to do something for my life that was going to better my life. Is that you got to make priorities. You got to prioritize what is important to you. Because I bet if I went to your house, there's some stuff in there that costs more than what we charge for our services. And here's the other thing. Our services for our flagship services only $584.95, and we can spread that out in payments. But that's the cost right there to us to do the work. But what is it costing you every day to live with bad credit? Add up that cost. Add up the frustration. Take away the money that is costing you. Add up the frustration. Now, how many years have you been living that way? Add up all of that frustration, add up all of the money that you've been losing. If you're paying higher interest rates, if you can't go and buy a house, if you can't get the car at the right interest rate, all of the stuff that's costing you, add that up. So what you do, and this is what I did in my life, is I said, this is what I want. I have my focus on the goal, and I'm going to prioritize my finances to get in that direction, because nothing is going to change until you do that. See, right now, the excuse, and I won't just point at you, I'll point at all of us. When there's things that we know that need to be done, we will let excuses come in our way, and some of those excuses are just like ingrained inside of us. When you're going to do something different, it's going to feel abnormal. It's not going to feel right. And the reason why it doesn't feel right is because your body is trying to pull you back. It's saying, you're comfortable with bad credit. You're comfortable having too much debt. You're comfortable barely being able to make it. You're comfortable going to work, mad, coming home, doing whatever. You're just comfortable with that. Get out of that comfort zone. It's going to hurt at the beginning, not hurt physically. Well, it might seem like it might hurt physically because your body is going to be trying to pull you the other way. But you got to be willing to fight through it. And I promise you, when you get to the other side, you're going to say something like this: I'm glad I didn't change, because it's a thin line. Success and failure is a thin line. You can barely even see it. That's why so many people don't know when they're on their way to success, because you can take one step one way because of fear and one step the other way because of that same fear, and you could be either successful or have failure. So get your stuff in order. It doesn't have to be with us, it could be doing it yourself, but focus on getting the job done and don't look for any quick fixes. Uh, let's see, costing me a lot. Oh, that was Lucy. Cost me a budget. Do you assist with figuring out? This is something that we used to do in the past. If you call us, we can go over it with you. We haven't been really doing this a lot, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making videos about it. I'm going to start making live videos about this, because there was a time for me and my family that we were barely able to make it. My wife and I were living in a studio apartment at the age of 20 when I had just got out of the military with two children at the age of 20. And from there we had to save money to start a business, and I was working a third shift security guard job. So it can happen for you, but you got to be focused and going in the right direction. It's like you got to burn all of the bridges that are behind you so you won't turn around and go back to the way it used to be. You just have to do it. Uh, and it says here, I feel so stuck. Hey, thank you, Lucy. Thank you. All right, let's go to some of the questions that were sent to me. Let's see here. Let me get this right. Okay, so we have here, is it legal for an account for an amount on the auto loan to be different than on the contract versus my credit report? And I put an answer on here just in case you're not on the live here. If it's different from day one, there could be a potential problem. The reason why is we just saw what happened with American Credit Acceptance. We saw it happen with Santander, where people were getting loans. Like they were going in there and they were actually getting loans, signing for their auto loan, and then they were taking those documents and then forging people's signatures and giving documents to the lender, to Santander or American Credit Acceptance, a different loan document that had a different amount on there. And so you should investigate that. And you can go to the Santander settlement website and read that they were doing that. And you can go to the American Credit Acceptance settlement that was recently settled for one state, I think, or a few states. And you can see that's what they were doing. Can you believe it? That people were signing for a car, and then they have their loan documents, and the dealer was giving the loan documents to American Credit Acceptance that had a different amount for the car, and people had paid on their car for 5 years, and guess what? They still owed almost the same amount that they bought the car for. Could you imagine if you made your payments every month and you're getting ready to make the last payment, and then you get you ask for your title and they don't give you your title, and they say, well, you owe $30,000, and you're like, I bought the car for $35,000. They looked at the documents and they had changed the documents over. Let me tell you the reason why they do it. You might be saying, well, Steve, that sounds crazy. Why would they even do something like this? The reason why they was doing it is because those subprime auto lenders, this is the deal. When they finance a car, they know that most of the people are not going to finish paying. So they have an algorithm that's written, and it says that based on this individual's credit that we see, they're going to be able to pay on the car for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. This is the average that they always pay on a car, even though they're a subprime borrower. And so they would tell the dealer, hey, we're not going to give you all of that money. We're going to give you this amount of money. And the dealer's thinking to themselves, I got to get paid. I just bought these cars at auction. I got to get paid. So they would inflate the car value on there. They would put what's called power booking on the vehicle. And I'm saying this stuff so you can look at your contract. This is happening with other lenders too. But these are two that have been caught, Santander and American Credit Acceptance, as of now. But look for this. It's called power booking, where they put all of these features and add-ons onto your car so they can make the lender feel comfortable about making that loan. So be very careful about that. Now, there's another one here. Somebody asked me what would be the one thing that would, by the way of impact, what would I suggest? And I think that what they were asking is like, if I had any advice, like the one, if somebody could say, well, Steve, give me one thing so you don't have to pile up a whole bunch of stuff to me. It would be that you need to utilize your credit to build wealth. Now, I'm not saying that you build wealth first and enjoy life later. What I'm saying is you need to put a plan of action in place where your credit is helping you be able to move forward in your life to be able to build wealth. If you have good credit, when you go and buy a car, instead of paying $800 a month, you could be paying $400 a month. When you go to buy a house and you have good credit versus bad credit, you could have a $1,300 loan on a $250,000 or $300,000 house versus having a $3,000 payment on that same house. So if you start with the credit first, you're going to be able to build wealth. Unless you just go crazy buying stuff, you're going to be able to build wealth by the money that you save. But some of the times people don't pay attention to the money that they save because they're just like, okay, my credit is good and I'm getting the low payments, but they don't put anything aside. So you should enjoy life, but you should also put something aside. That's like the simple, like stage one, level one of being able to set yourself up for the future. Obviously, you can start a business, you can do other things, get into investing to actually accelerate that, which is something that a lot of people are doing. All right, let me go back over here and look at some of the questions. Let's see here. Uh, have a question about an account, have a payday loan, and it's being garnished. Okay, very good question. With the payday loans, what you could do, depending on your state, in the state of Wisconsin, we have something called a poverty guideline, where even if you're not in poverty, you have to still earn a certain amount of money to be able to be garnished. So that would be the first level to stop a garnishment. Next is based on your income. Where is your income coming from? If it's any type of disability, any type of retirement, any of those, and your state might have some more exemptions, but those are the straight up federal type of exemptions. You could have the garnishment stop based on that. And then but check with your state, because like here in the state of Wisconsin, if you are single or you're married and you have 2 kids, 3 kids, there's a certain level of income that you have to make before they can garnish your wages. And we've been able to have garnishment stop for individuals who make a pretty good income, but they have a certain amount of dependents in their family. And definitely we've been able to stop garnishments with people who don't make enough money, like they're barely surviving, and then they're getting garnished. But they will not tell you that you can stop it. They will never tell you. They're just going to go after the money. And just so no one gets me wrong on this, is that at some point you got to deal with your debt. I had to deal with my debt. You're going to have to deal with your debt, but it's about getting yourself in the right position so you can deal with it. If it's going to be one at a time, two at a time, if you have a money issue, then you need to get your credit fixed and you need to figure out your money issue. One and two. That's where you're at right now. You tell the debt collectors, hey, I'm going to get to you. My financial situation is bad. Believe it or not, a debt collector, if you tell them, hey, it ain't going to work right now, most of them will stop. The reason why a lot of them keep going is because nobody responds to them. Everybody just avoids them and they don't say anything. Most debt collectors will stop. And if you go to debt collectors' website, like go to LVNV Funding, their website. This is everybody's homework later today. Go to their website and look for a section that has, if you're having trouble paying. They're going to try to say, well, we can give you some payments, but also a secret web page that they have on there is that they will not go after people who can truly show that they have a financial problem, that they will not continue their lawsuit. And then for the payday loan, what you need to do, let me tell you some things that you can do with the payday loan. Even though they're garnishing you right now, it might be too late to change anything with that, because in our state you have 6 months to ask to have it reopened. But anyone here that has a payday loan, let me tell you some ways that you can get out of them based on them breaking the law. So if they break the law, this is some ways that you can get out of it. And let me show you how they break the law. There is a there's a usury law for every state that'll say how much they can charge in interest. In my state, it's crazy. They can charge 2,000% interest on a payday loan. But let me tell you how they end up breaking the law. If there's also something called a cycle. So if you go in there and you say, I need to recycle my loan, and they recycle it, they could be breaking the interest rate law. What they try to do is they try to put it all on the principal, like Tony Soprano. You don't pay your bill to Tony or the mafia. They said, okay, we loaned you 10,000. The interest was going to be 5,000. So now your new principal is 15,000, and now we're going to charge you interest on 15,000. The payday lenders do the same thing, and when they do that, they could be breaking the law, because either in every state there's either a rule on how many times you can cycle a loan in your state per month, how many times you can recycle. And in most states, if you recycle 3 times, they've already broken the law on the interest rate rules. They've already broken the law. On my website, I show one in St. Louis where we caught them. They were suing them for $2,500. They got caught because they recycled the loan, and that ended up breaking the law in their state on the amount of interest that they can charge. That is a violation, and if they make that violation, you don't pay. You don't pay. So let's go on to another one here. I found an answer, LVMV funding, and they keep continuing oh, well, if you filed an answer and they keep continuing, that might mean that they don't have the documents that you requested in there, or something. Sometimes you can get lucky and ask a question where they're like, oh boy, we don't know if we can get this. As a matter of fact, the first lawsuit case that I ever won, my only, when it was a credit card. I had a credit card when I was in the Army, and the I know when I was in the military, I was only making like 600 and some bucks a month in 1988. And I got a credit card, Citibank, and I remember it was like $150 is what they gave me for a credit line. Years later, because I guess I didn't pay it, I'll take responsibility. I didn't pay it. Years later, a debt collector came after me, Roush and Hornick. You've probably seen them. They done blew up as debt collectors. This was in the 90s before they blew up. But they're based here in the city here, Brookfield. And they came at me for $4,500. I was like, I didn't have no 4,500. I didn't have a job that could do $4,500. It would have took me months to do $4,500. And so I accidentally ask for verification of the debt. And back then, at that time, this was before the internet was all over and all of that stuff. They came to court with a stack this big of documents that had everybody's that they purchased in that portfolio from that credit card company. That big stack, and it had all of them was redacted and just had a line with my name on there. But for me doing that, I accidentally kind of made them have to reveal their hand, and I ended up settling, which I didn't even have to settle because it was past the statute of limitations. But I ended up settling that debt for $500, and the judge was like, "Man, you're lucky for settling it." After, but I went through that. That was in the '90s when I went through that. That was a lesson for me to be able to help you. That was a lesson that I went through that allows me to help you because I know now, from what I learned then, you do the verification in court. I had just went to court and just stood up and asked for it. But when you do it in writing, it really makes them think like, who is helping them? Who is giving them this information? What do they know? How do they know to do this? They just expect you to come to court and say nothing and just, get the default judgment against you. So you must have done something. You must have done something right. Review it. You must have done something right. Now you have it's through Midland portfolio, some original creditors. Okay, so you uh I'm not sure what your answer over here, but you're saying how do you do a validation through the original creditor? It's just that you just ask for all of the documents. It doesn't matter who. See, if you're dealing with an original creditor, what you're trying to do is you're trying to play, get yourself in a position to do a settlement. If if they continue, because it's possible, if you express your hardship the right way, the original creditor can submit a 1099-C cancellation of debt. And to show you that that can really happen, go to the website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and you will see in the testimonial section where we got a client and several other clients 1099-C for over $36,000 on a Chase credit card. So you no matter what, original creditor or not original creditor, you want to still request information so you can see where they're at. They might have told the debt collection company that's working for them, hey, if anybody challenges it, we don't want to pay you to have to go back to court. We just want to do all of the easy stuff. You never know what these businesses are doing. You never know. Okay, somebody said here, I sent out debt validation letters in response to the information we found is verified. I want to clarify. It says Albuquerque, Turkey. I want to make this clear. When you do a debt validation, if they're suing you, if they sent you a court summons, you don't do the debt validation directly to them. You do it through the court. See, they won't pay attention to you because right now everything is through the court. So if you send them something on the side, what have you done? You've actually not followed the court. So when the court asks you to do something and you don't do it, even if you were right, you can end up losing. So you need to make your response. If you haven't done this, maybe I'm understanding you the wrong way. Make do the response to the court. The court is going to stamp it. They may or they may not have you forward it. Maybe they will forward it. Maybe they will upload it and notify the plaintiff attorney that it's uploaded, whatever way. But once it's submitted that way, they have to answer you. They can't not answer you. And they won't say verified. If you're being sued, they will not say that it's verified from a court case. They're not going to say it's verified. They're going to supply documentation. They can't just say the word verified to something that you put in your affirmative defense. If I'm understanding you the right way. If I'm understanding you the right way. All right, just so you know, the my reps are standing by if anyone wants help. And I'm going to put our website here. And I want you to go there and I want you to look at what we've done for our clients because I think that that's important that you need to see that. And also, so you could just, maybe, uh, you might see some answers in there, and you might be able to do some stuff on your own. It says if LVNV request to go to trial, does that mean that they have a case? It doesn't mean that they have a case. It just means that they're willing to take yours to trial. And you don't know for sure. Well, I would say they might believe that they have a case because the way that you responded wasn't appropriate. But we've had people go to case like the one that I mentioned with the couple with the payday loan, and they also had a credit card. They did two at the same time: a payday loan, credit card, husband and wife in court at the same time. Uh, that payday loan attorney chose to take it to court, and they were hired by the payday loan company, so they would have had access to all the documentation. And then the other, for the wife, it was a credit card company purchased by a debt collector. They took them to court, and when the judge reviewed it, the judge dismissed it. And when the guy called us and said that they were both dismissed, and this is on the website so you can see, you got to take my word for it. You will see. He said that the bailiff gave him a thumbs up when he left. He and his wife left. They gave him a thumbs up. Reason why he gave him a thumbs up, he said that nobody fights for nothing. Nobody fights for nothing. I'd rather fight, and if I lose, I lose. But you can't win unless you fight. You can't win unless you fight. And something that I found when you are looking at documents and then you calm down, drink some water, soda, whatever, and you read them again, and then you read it again, and then you start reading one line at a time. That's actually how I figured out how to even do this service. It's like I would read them, people would send them first, and I was like, I don't know what we could do. And then somebody like must have touched me on the inside. They said, you please look at it, Mr. Williams. That was their word. Y'all say Mr. Williams. I know I got this gray on here, but they said, Mr. Williams, please review it. And I said, I'm gonna review it. And when I was reading that line by line, I was seeing that there was stuff that we can fight. At least make some challenges. And then my employees would come to me with documents, and they was like, I know you said that this is the type that we don't get involved with, but I think that we should. They got that leeway. They come to me and they be like, hey, I think you need to take a look at this, because I can get busy and get one track mind too. I'm not no different than you or anybody else. And they're like, no, you need to pay attention to this and reread it, and let's see some openings, because there's always openings. I mean, look at all of the cases, civil and trials where people are on the line for their freedom, and you're like, man, how did they get out of that? So that means that if you fight, you have always have a chance. Let me go to another question here. I received a response from, I guess it's the law firm. They gave me a different date, alleged date being open, and Experian has a different date. I don't, with that, what I would do, it is involving Experian. This is what I was talking about earlier. Involving some documents you want to introduce, but some stuff you don't want to introduce. You should look at what they sent you in the summons, and you should look at how you can tear that apart if that's not what you're already doing. And if they're doing that and you just think that they have to accept it before the court date, they don't have to do that. You just put your side on there, your affirmative defense, and then let the judge make a decision. Or if it's going to be a jury trial, let them make a decision. And you need to be ready to stand up. And let me tell you how you go there to fight. Is that you just take your document, you just take your paper, and and they asking you questions. Even if they put you on the stand, you'd be like, well, this is my answer to that, and I wrote that on the paper. These are my notes. Like when they always have those trials, and they be like, can I refer to my notes? You can refer to your notes. You can refer to your notes. And free indeed, number 7. I'm fighting, brother. Thank you. Keep on fighting. Keep on fighting. Okay, and then Albuquerque said that that's the original creditor, same thing, keep on fighting. Look at what the original creditor sent you. Ask for a complete validation of their information that they have for that specific account. Did you have any disputes? I'm not saying that you had any disputes, but you can ask for all of the documentation that they had for that loan so you can review it. And then they'll probably, this is what usually happens with the original creditor. They'll be like, hey, attorney, we don't want to pay you extra money to go to court. Send this person a letter and try to see what we can settle. And then that's up to you if you want to settle, depending on how much fight you have. And if you just want to have it done and over with, you can pay and have a settlement. There's nothing wrong with a settlement. Remember, I paid $500 to just be gone on the one that I told you about earlier. And you will, everyone here mostly will at some time or another pay a settlement so you can move forward and you learn from it and you don't make those same mistakes again. All right, let me, there was another, someone had a question about automobile repossessions. And when your car is repoed, you have a right to get the complete auction statement, what the car was sold for. Uh, because especially now, you know that you hear the stories in the news. They talk about how hard it is to find used cars. That the used car market is hot. It's still hot. It's hard to get these vehicles, used vehicles. There's a high demand for them. Lenders are putting out more money for used cars than they ever have before. So if you have a repo, you need to get your auction statement. You need to review your contract, get your contract if you have it, get the contract from the dealer, and you want the contract that was submitted to the lender. You want all three of those so you can review them. And now the first thing you need to do is you need to look to see if there's anything called credit insurance that would have paid the vehicle off, would have paid a certain amount of payments, would have done anything that benefited the lender or the dealer. Because sometimes the dealers have chargebacks that go to them if they end up having a car that they sold be repossessed. That's something that's between the finance company and them. A lot of the subprime dealers do that, but on the record, there has been some issues with even people who had good credit where they got suckered in. We just had a young lady come in 2 weeks ago. She bought a vehicle, put $12,000 down. The vehicle was $32,000. She put $12,000 down. With after they did the taxes and all of these add-ons, guess how much money she owed on the vehicle? $28,000. How can you pay on a $32,000 vehicle, regardless of the taxes and everything, and you still owe $28,000? So you can see that there could be issues with dealers. And when you have a repossession, you have a right to have all of that stuff reviewed. They'll try not to do it. They'll try to play it off, whatever. You have a right to request all of that information to have it reviewed. And you might find a door that might open that you can walk into that either gets you totally out of the debt, especially if they sold it, or even if it's still with the original creditor where they hired a company to do it, that you can get an extremely good settlement, which is something that happened with a Santander client that had a Santander loan. She still owed over $13,000 on the vehicle. They tried to offer her $5,000. With more haggling, they ended up settling and giving the title, and she only had to pay $1,300. Got her vehicle. So it can happen. It can happen. All right, remember, go to our website. Go to our website, thecreditrepairshop.com. I'm going to put it again in here. Also, when you see responses, when you see me respond in YouTube, make sure that it has a black box around the credit repair shop. Because if it doesn't have a black box around it, that's an impersonator. We try to knock those out as soon as we see them. We never respond by telegram. We never have you send us an email to a Gmail. We never have it go to a WhatsApp phone number. None of that stuff. We have a customer service team. They have a specific phone number that all of the calls get pipelined into, and then they call people back in order as they received. And that's a very good system, because what we found is that if 1,000 customers call at once, or 500 or 100 call, and you can't answer the phone, and they're not able to leave a detailed message because it fills up the bank. That doesn't make it a good experience for the customer. And so that's something that we learned. Companies try to make things better, and that was one of the things that we've done, and it's really helped. Also, everyone gets a portal where they can communicate and see the work that's done. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with a credit repair company, people are afraid, is this getting done, that getting done? We do the work. And we don't only just deal with your credit directly, we deal with the furnishers. Because a lot of stuff can be resolved, a lot of stuff can be removed a lot faster when you're going directly to the furnishers and you're asking them the right questions. That's the thing. Like earlier with Albert Kirky, sometimes you could be asking the wrong question, and I understand because they can ask it in a way that when people read it, it's like, well, why did they ask it that way? And then you'll just do a regular response. When if you respond to them in the appropriate way, it could end up having them send a letter saying, "Hey, we're going to cease all collections." And then for our sales team, um, if you're in our pipeline, you might get a text message from us. You might get a call directly. We try to reach out to people every day. Some of the times we'll call you multiple times, and that's not just because we're trying to get on your nerves or do something. It's because we know that you need help, and some of the times you got to push people. You got to kind of push them. It's not like we do a hard sell. We talk to people about their situation, and we just say, "Hey, are you ready to move forward?" And we had an understanding with people that when you're ready to move forward, it's gonna be like we're on a team with each other. We need you to do your part. Don't make things worse, but also don't think that we're like, sending stuff out to the furnishers and the credit reporting agencies, and then like we send it and then we run to each of their locations and receive it and say, open this and do this that's on the paper. We can't do that. So we never have a direct timetable on people's stuff getting resolved. There's just no way to have that type of promise. What we do promise is that we're gonna do the work, that we're gonna keep working in all of the services. And some of the other credit repair businesses think I'm crazy. They've sent me letters. One guy even sent me an email. Like he's not even, he owns a business, and he would ask me like, why do you do the service like that for people? How do you make it? How do you survive? And I'm like, well, why? Number one, why are you asking me? Like, take care of your business, take care of your customers. This is the way we do it. Um, we gotta have a commitment, even if it takes a shorter period of time. Just from experience with dealing with thousands of customers, it's going to take most people a good solid year. Like, to be upfront, honest, depending on what you're going through. You see some of the people that are putting comments and they're saying what they're going through. It's going to take some time. And but some of the times it doesn't. A lot of it has to do with what you're dealing with and how motivated you are. So if you're very motivated, when we come to you and say, hey, we just think that you need to move towards doing a settlement with a certain account. If you're open to that, then we're going to move forward with that so you can move forward a lot faster. So, and then if there's something that we don't see that's right, even if you're going to move forward with a settlement on something, we still make sure that everything is right. If we find something while we're doing that, it could, shut that whole thing down and go right back into doing a full outright challenge against the whole debt again. But that's part of the process. That's what my team does. That's what the sales reps, they'll get you signed up, they'll get you into the intake. Customer service team, all they do is focus on that. This is not a one-man show. Uh, and I'm gonna put this out there. You can't just call my office and just get to me. It doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, then why would I pay all of these people to work here? So that's something that to keep that in mind, that they will get to your information if you ever have any questions. They know what they're doing. They've been here a long time. They know what to do to get the job done. All right, we're coming up on the closing of the video here. If there's any last questions, please type them in here. I would like some people to to tell me, uh, you don't have to do it here, but you can maybe drop it in the comments later. How are you doing with your credit? Like, what are your goals? What are you trying to do with your life? And then maybe there's some advice that I can maybe give you on a financial level because I've been in that situation. I've had financial problems, credit problems, and I was able to work my way out of it. So I think that the knowledge that I have inside of me doesn't need to stay inside. I need to continue sharing it with people. All right, we're coming down on 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Get your questions in because we're going to be closing it out in 1 minute. Going to be closing out in 1 minute. Any questions? The clock is going down. Clock is going down. I'm gonna put this in there one more time. I think it's skipped. Oh, someone asked for the if you're being sued by a debt collector to put that in. Let me grab that link. You can watch this video. You can watch this video on this here. Also, you can see the proof of the dismissals, the victories, the victories, the dollar amounts. That's what counts for people. You can go to that link there. Yeah, if you click that link, you'll see the video, and then you can see what that service costs, and then you can see some the documents that people submitted to us to show the work that we've done. You can also see the 36,000. It was actually $36,248 from Chase Bank credit card forgiven. Like some people think that. You're welcome, Philip. Thank you for being here again. You were here last week too. Thank you. Uh, but yeah, some you can see the proof of those. All right, everybody. Thank you for your time. We're going to end the video here. I hope everybody has a great week and a great weekend and moving forward. And we're going to be here next Wednesday at the same time.